But let's now talk about something that people aren't talking about. Because people aren't doing lists.
Oh, that's true, baby.
And I think it's list time.
It's list time.
Plus, we got to speed it up because you gotta get going.
I gotta get going, which kind of sucks because I was looking forward to this list, but I'll try and be as.
I actually have a decent amount of stuff.
I have a lot of honorable mentions, so I'm not gonna really dive deep into them, but I'll say them.
I'll just read off what I got for them. How many honorable mentions you got?
I probably got like 15.
I have 9.
Okay.
So you want to list a couple off?
Sure. First one is Edgar Wright's Ant-Man. I know Ant-Man was made, but it would have been cool to see his original vision.
That would have been sick.
Stanley Kubrick's Napoleon, and Alain Resnais's and Stan Lee's collaboration movies.
I also have Stanley Kubrick's Napoleon. Kubrick essentially got lost in the research and it never became a thing. Anything Kubrick would have done would have been a treat to see, especially with names like David Hemmings from Blow Up as the lead and Audrey Hepburn as the opposite. Dude, that would have been tight.
Okay, go 2 more, because I actually just counted. I have 9 as well.
Jodorowsky's Dune. The art and storyboarding for this thing looked amazing, but I'm already getting my favorite current director to make it, so it's kind of... And Claire Noto's The Tourist, a famous film in development hell about a group of aliens waiting in Manhattan to go back to their planet. It was supposed to be a sexualized vision of aliens with influences of Fellini and Antonioni, more so about the forced stay with lustful agony floating in the air.
Kind of like Under the Skin, sort of.
Kind of, yeah.
That was 3, right?
Yep.
All right, Neil Blomkamp's Halo. This movie was in such far development into pre-production before the plug was pulled that they actually used a lot of the same props that they were going to use for Halo for District 9. So when the plug got pulled on Halo, they basically took that and just made District 9 with it.
And that's a good movie.
I mean, it's a great movie, but it would have been cool to see Neil Blomkamp's Halo.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. David Cronenberg's Frankenstein. As nice as this sounds, it would have been just like The Fly. He wanted to retain Mary Shelley's original concept of an intelligent, sensitive man instead of just a beast. And of course, with his inescapable conquest of always using body horror, it wouldn't have been that different.
Right. My next one is George Miller's Justice League. Again, they were heavily into pre-production with this one. Freaking Armie Hammer was supposed to play Batman, and Megan Gale was supposed to play Wonder Woman. As a matter of fact, Megan Gale's costume tests have been leaked like a couple years ago, like back in 2015, like her costume tests were leaked. The reason it got pulled was because they were trying to shoot in Australia, but then the funding for the film to shoot in Australia got pulled, and then they couldn't do it. As a matter of fact, I actually read the script for this movie, because the script for this movie is online. And the main character basically is the Flash, and he's the most likable and endearing character. Green Lantern is also in it, and Common was supposed to play him, the Jon Stewart Green Lantern.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, and John, what's his name? The guy who plays Immortan Joe is supposed to play Martian Manhunter.
Oh.
And so the cast was pretty cool, and George Miller knows how to make it cool. This was way before the superhero renaissance, though, so there are some of those kind of weird moments where you're like, in the script, where you're like, oh man, the villain's an evil businessman? I don't know about this. So there are a couple moments in there that's why it's not on my list, is because of things like that. But you should read the script. Just look up Justice League Mortal script. It's online.
I'll have to check it out. Mm-hmm. Next I got Andrei Tarkovsky's The Idiot. Apparently it was a lifelong dream of his to adapt this novel. Additionally, the Russian government, who had to approve all of these films, said he was too young and inexperienced to tackle it. The most we ever got were a couple allusions presented in his work from the novel. So.
All right. My next is... I had to put this on there because it's one of the best films never made. Like, it's on everyone's top 10 list, and that's Jodorowsky's Dune. Again, this was adapted by David Lynch into a film that a lot of people don't really enjoy. And now it's being adapted again by your boy Denis Villeneuve. So again, I put that as an honorable mention simply because of that reason, because we are getting a
that is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't David Lynch's fault because of it, apparently.
Yeah, that's what he says.
That's what whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I've never seen it. I don't really care.
Salvador Dali's Giraffes on Horseback Salad.
Mm-hmm.
From one of the greatest surrealists who ever lived came a screenplay with wacky big ideas, but very incohesive. It was supposed to be a surrealist comedy starring the Marx Brothers. Given he wrote 2 Buñuel films, this could have been huge. This could have been awesome.
Right.
It sounds ridiculous. Even the name is ridiculous. Giraffes on Horseback Salad.
Yeah, that's crazy. My next one is Gore Verbinski's BioShock adaptation.
Oh.
That kind of sucks that was never made because I love BioShock. I think that is one of
BioShock.
the coolest just world-building cities ever. Rapture is so cool. And although Gore Verbinski is kind of hit and miss, it would have been cool to see what he brought to the table. He probably would have tried to make it a little more, I don't know, artsy than it probably should be, but it would have been interesting. So,
Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis.
yes.
Big budget sci-fi with 212 pages and set to star every big actor working in Hollywood.
Yep.
Coppola did 3 films during that time just to finance it, but given 9/11 occurred and it was about a futuristic New York, the trauma the world endured would not let him proceed.
Yep. And my last, and I know this is going to be on your list. Oh, you still got 2?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, this was my last one. I know this is going to be on your list. Sergio Leone's Leningrad, The 900 Days. I'm sure you're going to talk about it, so I'm not even going to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Steven Spielberg's Night Skies.
I heard about. Is this a sequel to E.T.?
It's supposed to be a sequel to Close Encounters.
Oh, that's what it was.
Said to be Straw Dogs with aliens. Columbia wanted Spielberg to do a follow-up to Close Encounters, but he wanted to bring something new to the table, a horror film about aliens. John Sayles wrote the screenplay, and Spielberg thought it was too dark for him. Toby Hooper was actually supposed to direct it at one point, but that fell through too.
Oh, dang.
And the last one I got is Ridley Scott's Blood Meridian, a bleak anti-western, quite similar to Bone Tomahawk's gruesomeness. All of the McCarthy novels that were previously adapted were not met with success. All the Pretty Horses, No Country for Old Men, The Road. The Grim Tale was just too dicey for studios to be enthusiastic. Okay. And that's all I have.
All right. Well, you kind of touched on some of my lists, so
okay.
I have to, hold on, step on a duck.
Holy fuck.
And, all right. You ready for the list?
I'm ready for the list.
All right, I'll go first then. It's actually a tie, my number 5.
Okay.
Between Megalopolis by Francis Ford Coppola and the Robert Bresson's Genesis movie. So you already touched on I can't even say it. Megalopolis, yeah. It's supposed to be Francis Ford Coppola's foray into sci-fi because his friends Spielberg and Lucas did so well. He kind of wanted to try it, and apparently it was supposed to be like super huge. Like you said, 212-page script, and there was like a ton of concept art that was released. But because of 9/11, they had to pull the plug on it because it was about a New York architect kind of building like his utopian city. But other than that, a lot of details about it are scarce, but that would have been so cool to see a sci-fi Francis Ford Coppola film.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, he even made Jack and The Rainmaker to make this film.
Yeah.
That's the reason he picked up those films because he wanted to make
Dracula.
this. And Dracula. Because he wanted to make this film. That sucks, man. To have like a film you want to make so bad and just never got to
and
make
that was
it.
like a dicey time for him anyway because he was kind of releasing like mediocre stuff.
Yeah, that's
mediocre
true.
to bad stuff.
That's true, but he probably was doing that, you know, the whole one for them, one for me sort of mentality.
Yeah.
He was probably doing that just so studios would be like, okay, we'll finally fund your Megalopolis movie. Okay, so, and then
Genesis.
Robert Brennison's Genesis movie. This is supposed to be an adaptation of, the first chapter of the Bible, or the first book in the Bible, Genesis, Adam and Eve, stuff like that, the Garden of Eden. And it would have been really cool. This is from a French director named Robert Bresson, who did movies like Pickpocket and Diary of a Country Priest and A Man Escaped, and he basically wanted to adapt this book of Genesis. And a lot of people, because I looked at a couple lists, researching this list, and a lot of people are saying that he was a very strange fit for this movie, because although he is a devout Christian, his style didn't seem to, it didn't seem to fit the Book of Genesis adaptation for some reason. I don't really know why, because I've never seen his films. Maybe if I watch his films, I would understand it. And he tried to get this movie made at different points, and unfortunately he passed away before he could make it, and he wasn't able to raise money for it at the same time. So that's kind of sucked, because it would have been cool to see Genesis. Yeah.
Fortunate.
Yes.
My number 5 is David Lynch's Ronnie Rocket. Premise is about a dwarf rock star who needs a power source to plug in for to rock out or just cause destruction, and it just sounds fucking weird. And
sounds like David Lynch.
He's talked about it as a potential project recently, so maybe I'll finally get another David Lynch film since Inland Empire.
Yeah.
And that's really all I gotta say about it.
All right, my number 4 is one just out of sheer morbid curiosity. I don't think this film would be good It probably wouldn't be good, but it would be something.
Okay.
And that is Superman Lives by Tim Burton.
Oof, boy.
Nicolas Cage was supposed to play Superman. That would have been not good, but you know what? It would have been something. As a matter of fact, John Schnepp, may he rest in peace, made a documentary about Superman Lives and called What Happened, Superman Lives. You guys should check it out. I believe it's actually on YouTube, and it is hilarious, dude. But some of the concept art, this would have been so weird, dude. Like, the black suit was supposed to be, like, alive on Superman. Mark Steven Johnson actually released kind of a behind-the-scenes video series about his work on the film, and he got to show you, like, unused concept art and just unused, like, real-life models that he built for the movie. And, I mean, there were so many writers, and the script was insane because John Peters just made, like, just awful decisions, and he didn't even want Superman to fly. He wanted him to fight a giant spider. It would even fight polar bears. It would have been nuts, and it probably would have been terrible. But you know what? I kind of wanted to see it. I kind of want to see what it would have been like.
I might have wanted to see it too.
Yeah, right. It would have been insane. It might have been such so bad it's good film. Even,
probably.
Know? Yeah, so.
My number 4, David Fincher's Torso, based on the graphic novel about the true story of the Torso murderer investigation. This would be the perfect follow-up to Zodiac. It was rumored to star Matt Damon, Casey Affleck, Rachel McAdams, and Gary Oldman. The film was a victim to the falling out Fincher had with Paramount. We are supposed to get the film now, but David Lowery will be directing it instead of Fincher.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's in his queue.
Oh, dang. All right, my next film, speaking of David Fincher, is Alien 3 by Vincent Ward. Vincent Ward, director of a lot of like really visually interesting films like What Dreams May Come and a couple of other films. He was supposed to make Alien 3 originally, and his version had Ripley stranded on like sort of like this planet sequestered by like monks and like really pacifistic monks on a whole planet made out of wood, and the whole planet was made out of wood. And I believe the plug got pulled on it because just the cost of the production just skyrocketed. It just went way too high, and they just couldn't see Vincent Ward's vision. And Vincent Ward is a very kind of artistic director, and I think if he got to make his version, it would have been absolutely like insane and really cool. Because if you look at the concept art of like this wooden planet, it looks really freaking cool.
I'm sure it does.
And the xenomorph is supposed to kind of run rampant like in this colony of like monks. Of these like really pacifistic monks and stuff like that, and it was supposed to be really, really kind of groundbreaking in the sci-fi genre. So it was kind of sad that he didn't get to make his version of it. And the version we did end up with is so different, so different.
The sound of that cassette like kind of reminds me of how massive like Waterworld is.
Yeah, right.
Like that shit was really expensive.
Yes, it was the most expensive movie to make at that time.
Yeah. Number 3. Orson Welles' Heart of Darkness.
Yep.
Orson doing a psychological thriller? Sick. But after Hollywood butchered Amber Sins for him, he lost a lot of faith in Hollywood, therefore scrapping many ideas. I mean, we all know this too well.
Yep.
Since Coppola put so much effort into adapting it with Apocalypse Now, the point was moved.
It was pointless. Is that it?
Yes.
My number 2 is AI by Stanley Kubrick. Unfortunately, he was supposed to make AI after Eyes Wide Shut, and everything was in the pipeline, but he unfortunately passed away before he got to make it or even really finish it. So Spielberg, who is a close friend of Kubrick, kind of finished it for him. But at the same time, that's Spielberg's movie. You know, I mean, he made it for his friend, and he made it as a tribute to Stanley Kubrick. You can see in a lot of the shots even, like the way it's composed and stuff is very Kubrick, because he was trying to kind of, you know, copy his style for the film and just make it a tribute to his friend. But it still would have been really cool to see what Stanley Kubrick would have done with that source material. It would have been really cool. So.
Absolutely. My number 2, which is probably your number 1, Alfred Hitchcock's
Kaleidoscope.
Yeah, is that your...
That's...
Franco Strava even thought this was too sexy and violent for his taste.
Yeah.
Given the nature of the film, Hitchcock definitely would have led the revolution of psychological films the 70s would eventually offer. I'm sure you have a lot more to say about that.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
Get in there.
All right, yeah, Kaleidoscope is my number 1, Alfred Hitchcock's Kaleidoscope, because he was kind of... he would always look to films by Antonioli and like all these, you know, up-and-coming directors in Europe, And he would always try to one-up them and always try and be ahead of the curve. And you're right, Francois Truffaut read the script and said it was too violent and shocking for his taste because this film focused on a peeping Tom who would like murder and kidnap women, and then it also focused on a female detective who would kind of go undercover as a prostitute to try and use herself as bait to catch this guy finally. And the film was supposed to be all natural light, all handheld, something which wasn't really done at that time. You know, especially for Hitchcock to do that. Again, he was always pushing the boundaries and going one step ahead of the curve. And it was supposed to be focused on 3 crescendos. One kill, I believe, like on a rooftop, one of them at a waterfall, and another one in a factory filled with colorful oil drums.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so it would have been insane. And again, this kind of would have led the movement into psychological horror. And he was supposed to, Francois Truffaut even said, he's like, the thing that really made me uncomfortable reading the script was the fact that you're supposed to sympathize with the guy, the killer. You're supposed to root for him.
Oh shit.
He was supposed to be
like an M situation.
Yeah, he's supposed to be like the freaking hero of the story. And you're just like, what? Like, this is just crazy. And Hitchcock would have definitely pushed the boundaries. He was always pushing the boundaries with violence and sex. And he was going to be the first one to really do that. Unfortunately, now... Oh, and by the way, this was kind of pitched as like supposed to be like Frenzy is also a working title of the film. And it was supposed to be pitched as a... Yeah, which he did. He eventually took some of the elements from Kaleidoscope and put it into Frenzy. But then this... Kaleidoscope was actually supposed to be pitched as a prequel to Shadow of a Doubt as well. So it would have been pretty interesting. Also, what was I going to say? It would have been really cool to see it because now I remember what I was going to say. Okay, now a lot of that stuff is not boundary pushing anymore. We've seen everything now. We've seen sex, violence, like
to a degree. Like you can't show us anything.
You can't show us anything that would shock us anymore. So I really wonder. Like how Kaleidoscope... I really want to get my hands on that script, man. That would be one of the best things to do. I want to read Kaleidoscope, and I just want to see what it would...
You can find it.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I might have a website.
You know what was funny? I was looking up the Academy Museum, and I swear I might be Mandela affected right now, but I did see that they had a Hitchcock exhibit, right? And in the concept art for the Hitchcock exhibit, they had a little section for Kaleidoscope. So I really wonder...
That just sounds like wishful thinking.
Yeah, it could be, but there were production stills and test footage released for the film, and you can actually find that online. So, yep.
Sick.
Yep.
I'm going to have to watch that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love him.
It's all, like, soundless. But it's really cool just to see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's your number 1.
That's my number 1.
As you guessed, Sergio Leone's Leningrad.
Yep.
It would be weird living in a world where Once Upon a Time in America wasn't Leone's last film, as it is one of the best send-offs to a director. Still, a World War II film, seen from the eyes of an outsider, could have been the war film we needed to keep it from dwelling on the same overplayed themes. It was set to star Robert De Niro, and Leone had described what the opening shot was going to look like. Mm-hmm. Even if someone did pick it up, no scene will ever topple that intro. He didn't even have a script for this movie. He just laid out basically like what he was gonna show the first shot. Of course, the first shot or the first scene, I guess, would have been like 15 minutes long if it was anything like Once Upon a Time in the West or something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
So that would have been real cool because I'm tired of war films.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
And that's the list.